This is 2017's Krystal. Warning, spoilers ahead. Taylor starts off by telling us that there are only two things that we need to know about him. The first is that he's a Southern boy, which means that he's chivalrous and courteous. Secondly, he has a weird heart in a rather serious and literal way. He has a PAT, which means that his heart races whenever it feels like. Doctors believe that it's stress-related, and Taylor says that this is why he stays as far away from the busy and heartbreaking life of others. The first time he felt the condition was as a child when he was chasing a dog and it got hit. At first, it seems as though it's just because of the dog getting hit. Nope, it's the jerk who hit the dog, who gets out, shrugs his shoulders, and basically dips. I can't blame Taylor. That got my heart racing a little bit just watching. And with that, Taylor lays down on the ground next to the dog, and he thought that he was going to die along with the dog. Obviously, that didn't happen because it would be a short story. His second time happened a year later when he's looking through his dad's naughty magazines. Again, if a naughty playboy came to life and tried to scare me away from dirty magazines, I'd be worried too. After that encounter, Taylor committed to keeping away from anything that could possibly get his heart racing. But that's where our leading lady comes in. While Taylor is sitting on the beach pondering about his childhood, Krystal pops up. Apparently, she's been in the background this whole time arguing with a lover, and now she's asking for a phone to call a cab. Taylor doesn't hear any of this, as he's taken in by her beauty, and he ends up having a heart condition moment. Krystal manages to get Taylor to the hospital, but he's not letting her go. Krystal even tries to bite his hand to let her go, but she ends up passing out as Taylor tells her how his heart feels. In the end, Taylor ends up okay, and later, he spends some time with his brother Campbell, while they talk about whether they believe in love, God, Satan, or anything. Campbell doesn't seem to believe in any of that, since his last girlfriend looked like Larry Bird, and Taylor heads out to open the gallery. Soon after, Vera arrives to see if her new art has arrived, and Taylor tries asking her about love too. I'm not sure if Krystal is the kind of obsession that a lot of people have with someone they see right before they almost die, but Taylor's obsession is a little more understanding, seeing how his only brush with love was his family and that devil magazine in the beginning. Vera assures him that he'll understand more about love as he lives more, and she heads off to her AA meeting, which, coincidentally, Krystal is going to as well. So, of course, Taylor follows her about 10 feet farther back. Once inside, Taylor spots Krystal at the front, and he sits next to Vera in the back. Taylor had no idea that this is what Vera meant by saying she had group, but Vera makes him introduce himself as a first-timer. It turns out that Krystal is the speaker for the day, and she explains that she did the hooker, stripper, drugs, and alcohol thing to get away from the light and happy things she couldn't stand. She admits that now she appreciates the light since the dark wasn't so kind to her, and Taylor has a better understanding of why she's there. Does Taylor go away after the meeting? Nope. Is he risking another PAT episode by talking to Krystal? Yep. Does he almost die before Krystal leaves him there? Absolutely. I don't think she's worth risking it at this point. She's basically a good-looking stranger. Later, the family sits around to listen to Poppy's new poem, Taylor's mother, and Taylor decides that this is a good time to say that he's in love with an AA member. In the process, Taylor asks for a drink, but Poppy says that his heart can't handle any of this. Wyatt and Poppy both agree that love is dangerous, but Taylor is set on having a drink to understand AA members. Campbell gives him a drink, which apparently ends up being way more, and Taylor spends the night trying to convince him that he really is in love. Campbell does notice a red SUV following them, but nothing comes of that yet. In the morning, Taylor brings the new art into the gallery, and Vera tells him that she's going to be his sponsor for AA. Taylor is really going all in with embracing the redeemed alcoholic life, but Campbell is the one who points out that girls marry good boys instead of the bad boys Taylor is trying to be. Taylor really isn't meant to be a bad boy, and after 2 hits on a joint, Taylor is messed up and headed to AA, right where he needs to be. At the meeting, Taylor gets a real good look at a real-life bad boy named Bo, and Bo's speech really sends Taylor spiraling. It doesn't help that Taylor is super high, too. That night, Taylor reflects on what he's heard, and he understands that he needs to be reborn in this instant. After another meeting, Krystal leaves to find Taylor waiting for her in his bad boy persona, but she makes it clear that those days are behind her. Taylor ends up reusing Bo's speech while he walks Krystal home, but he can't help but do chivalrous stuff the entire way. When they get to Krystal's house, Krystal's son, Bobby, greets them at the door, and Krystal leaves Taylor there. I am by no means criticizing anyone's age when it comes to romance and all that crap, but Bobby is probably only 2 years younger than Taylor. For a dude with a heart condition that can't handle stress, I don't think this is the ideal setting for a budding romance. As Taylor walks home that night, he gets stopped by Willie in the red SUV, and he makes it clear that he's the bigger man between the two as he hints at the fact that he's been with Krystal. In the morning, Taylor tells Campbell about the night before, and he thinks that his PAT didn't pop up because he was pretending to be Beau. Just then, Taylor points Krystal out to Campbell, and Taylor heads over to see what's wrong with Krystal. It turns out that Bobby had been starting fights, and somehow, Taylor hops in the car to ride shotgun to the school. So, the backstory to Bobby being in a wheelchair. His dad was messed up on drugs, ran over his legs in the driveway, and never came back. When Krystal pulls up at the school, Bobby is waiting at the front, and Taylor actually tries to parent and bond with Bobby. Again, there's like a 1 or 2 year age difference here, I think. Bobby easily puts Taylor in his place, and I genuinely laughed at the encounter. Bobby tries telling his mom that he saw someone lurking outside the school earlier that day, but she tries to assure him that they left a long time ago. It's either Willie or Bobby's dad. Or Willie is both. Wouldn't that be a twisted, cruel reveal? When they get back to town, Krystal says that she has to get back to work before she gets fired, and she asks Taylor to drive Bobby home for her. You know what? For someone who wants nothing to do with Taylor, she sure is giving him a lot of responsibility here. Oh, and Taylor is confirmed to be 2 years older than Bobby. Bobby comes over to the gallery with Taylor, and he actually seems to connect with him over one of the paintings. That doesn't last long, though, because Willie decides to pop up to ruin the party. Willie tries to leave with Bobby, but Taylor decides to bite off a little more than he can handle. Willie tells him that he's going to ask Krystal to let him back, but Bobby doesn't like this plan. He runs him down and takes Taylor away, but not before he accidentally gets stabbed in the leg. Willie keeps chasing them until a car takes them out, and Taylor and Bobby run into the same doctor from before to fix his leg. Bobby doesn't think that his mom will ever be able to shake Willie, but Taylor isn't giving up that easily. On the way out of the hospital, Taylor finds out that Vera is actually there, and she has cancer. Now that her secret is out, she gives him a quick rundown of how he should live, and she tells him that he's right where he should be. The story got really depressing there for a moment, but whenever Kathy Bates is involved like that, you're going to feel something. Also, is it now confirmed that Willie is not Bobby's dad? His dad ended things 4 months after ending Bobby's legs. Willie is just the bad boy that Krystal keeps going back to. After giving Taylor the rundown, Bobby tells him that this might be a good time to reconsider coming into their lives, but Taylor isn't giving up. He ends up pulling him down the street with his motorcycle, and Krystal comes out front to find both of them out on the front yard. Once inside, Bobby tells her that Willie hurt Taylor's leg, and she tends to his wounds. Taylor thinks that this is a good time to ask why someone like Willie is in Krystal's life at all, and she says that Willie is just the kind of guy who does what he wants and puts himself where he wants. While Krystal rubs a Band-Aid onto Taylor's leg, she sees that he's getting a little excited, and he throws his pants back on. She knows that Willie is going to come for her soon, and she knows that he isn't going to like any of this. Taylor tries to put on a tough guy act here, but I think my grandmother could take Taylor. Amazingly, Taylor ends up getting the girl. For now, though. I honestly didn't think that we'd get to see a kiss by the end of the movie, but he ends up going all the way. Wait, the sight of her put him in the hospital, but doing the deed with her is just fine because he's pretending to be a bad boy? The power of the mind and delusion. The next day, Taylor's family is getting ready for Krystal and Bobby to come over for dinner, and Taylor warns them to be on their best behavior. It turns out that Taylor has lied and said that the entire family is in the program, and they aren't too happy about him lying about everything to Krystal. Taylor ends up getting into a scuffle with Campbell, but they pull it together just in time to answer the door. Barely. If you didn't think that this was going to be awkward, you were dead wrong. Mom and Dad sneak out to drink, Campbell and Bobby smoke a joint in secret, and apparently, Wyatt actually knows Krystal. That's right, Wyatt slept with Krystal during her hooker days. Needless to say, Krystal and Bobby leave, Taylor is furious, and all families are broken for the time being. Meanwhile, Willie is at the hospital getting treated for getting run over earlier, and he sneaks into the mini pharmacy to steal and take whatever he can find. Then, he tops it off by stealing the doctor's car. At the AA meeting, Taylor tries to tell Krystal that he'll never stop loving her, and she tests him by telling him that she knows Wyatt. Wyatt went by Spanky, just so you know. Taylor isn't leaving though, and soon Willie shows up just in time for the speaker. It's Bo. And as Bo goes through the exact same speech from earlier, Krystal starts to realize just how much of Taylor's new persona he got from Bo. Even worse, Willie is having a talk with the devil, and it looks as though he might be getting scared sober. That is, until Krystal has enough of Bo's speech, and she grabs Willie on her way out the door. Things aren't looking good for Taylor, and he heads downtown to think about things. When he spots the gallery, he finds Vera inside, and he finds out that Vera is moving to Detroit to be closer to her son. Within a matter of a week, Taylor's whole world has been turned upside down, and within a matter of a day, everything he's known and loved has fallen apart. Vera gives him a crucial piece of info that I kind of wish someone had told me. Ha! If you spend too much time wanting something, you'll never get it, but if you're still and wait for whatever it is to come back to you, you'll be at peace. No wonder everything is a stress ball. As Vera says her goodbye, she gives Taylor one of her paintings as a goodbye, and she tells him to be young for both of them. The next few days, Taylor stays in his room and blasts some of the most depressing music, and the rest of his family finally gets the courage to go up to talk to him. They find Taylor laying in bed and looking at Vera's painting, and they all try to apologize. Before they can do that, Taylor tells them all that they each were a key factor in everything working out, and he says that he's been waiting. Just then, Bobby calls Taylor and he rushes out of the house. After driving for a while, he ends up at a hotel where Bobby is waiting for him, and he says that he's glad he came because Willie has been off his rocker since the meeting. Willie says that they did voodoo on him at the AA meeting, and he's been drawing devils nonstop. I've never been to AA or NA or any of the A's, but is that what they do to you? I could see that being a little too effective if that's the method. It probably didn't help that Willie was high off of 20 different medications the time he showed up for that meeting, though. Bobby says that the only guy he could think of to help is Taylor, and soon, Krystal gets back from her night of working. Taylor tells Bobby to pack so he can take the two of them home, but Krystal is high and furious. Krystal tries to play off the situation, but Bobby tells her that every time she does this, he gets screwed in the end. He tells her to listen to Taylor, and they all agree to leave. During the drive, Bobby falls asleep, and Krystal seems a little turned around about her situation with Taylor. He's really happy to hear that she's come around to the idea of being with him, but she also mentions that he'll have to take care of Willie when he shows up. Krystal really lays the ideas on Taylor thick, and she mentions moving to Clearwater and having a baby. Why would you try to get Taylor's heart going at a time like this? He's driving! Taylor manages to pull over, and he admits that this is a really bad episode. Meanwhile, Willie breaks into Taylor's house, and Wyatt comes down to see what's going on. I mean, Spanky. Apparently, Wyatt and Willie go way back, but Willie isn't happy about him giving Krystal his book. It turns out that Wyatt is the reason Krystal left him in the first place. If you want to see prime entertainment, watch William H. Macy come at T.I. with a katana. This definitely made me laugh out loud. Willie ends up losing a toe, and Poppy finds the toe. They speed to the hospital while Krystal speeds Taylor to the hospital, and this is the weirdest family reunion. Once inside, Taylor doesn't want the drug to make his heart revert, and once Krystal notices this, she talks him through the process. Taylor ends up conquering his condition with her help, and it looks to be a happy ending. Taylor apologizes for his whole Bo charade, and he reintroduces himself as himself. He admits that he's always going to love her, and they hold each other. When Krystal goes out to the waiting room, Poppy notices how she's acting, and she asks if she needs help. Krystal admits that she definitely needs help, and after time, Krystal says goodbye to Taylor and Bobby as she gets ready to go to rehab. Oh, Willie is okay too. And I'm pretty sure that he has his toe back on while he reads Wyatt's book. Everyone ends up okay in the end. Bobby stays with Taylor for the 6 weeks that Krystal is in rehab, and they end up becoming the best of friends. Then the credits roll. This was definitely a feel-good movie at its core, but there was plenty new and original with it to make it feel like its own movie. I'd definitely give it a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.